This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome to the Bladen County Board of Commissioners meeting for Monday, May the 6th. At this time, Pastor Corey, are you here to pray?
Yes, sir.
All right. Corey will lead us in the prayer.
That's right. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord God, I just thank you, Father, for every opportunity we have, Father, to just to talk to you, Father, know that you lend your ear to our voice, Father, that you care that much. And Lord, I pray as these men do their jobs and their duties, Father, that you would just guide their thoughts and their minds. Father, I pray that every discussion and every decision that's made in this room tonight, Father, will be done with you in the center of all their decision making, because you're God and there's none like you.
Yes.
And Father, I just thank you for these men and for what they do for this county. Father, I pray that you would lead, guide, and direct them, Father. I pray that all that we do as individuals will bring you glory and honor and praise forever and ever. In Jesus' precious, holy, and wonderful name, I pray. Amen.
Pray for me. And pray for me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor Corey, let me give you this little token for
Thanks, Pastor.
coming to pray for us. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you, sir.
I'll say a motion to approve the consent items. Mr. Britt, second by Mr. McGill. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item 3 is public hearing. Public hearing regarding a rezoning request from residential to agricultural.
Yes.
I declare the public hearing open. Is anyone here to speak on it?
So, may I approach the middle, Mr. Chairman, I've been asked by Mr. Greg Elkins to step in his place tonight as I was present at the April's planning board meeting. This was item number 3. We had 2 special use permit applications that night, and also had this rezoning application. Mr. Martin, Mr. Atkins, come on up here, brothers. But this is Mr. Atkins, used to be a former employee of the county here, and this is Mr. Martin. Mr. Atkins is the landowner of a piece of property located at 689 White Plains Church Road. Mr. Martin is the applicant on this matter, as there's been a 0.7 or 7/10 of an acre that's been surveyed out, and what they're proposing for and what's been approved by the planning board, subject to, or what has been recommended by the planning board to you guys, is to approve their recommendation, which is to rezone this from residential agriculture to commercial.
Wait a minute. Still the public hearing.
And basically, Mr. Chairman, if there's anything else you'd like to add, my understanding, your application, there's going to be 3 to 4 used cars on this lot.
Yes, sir.
It's been looked at. I believe that it's going to be kept up, well kept up. There might be a building on site.
Mm-hmm.
Is that my understanding at the hearing? If there's anything else you guys want to add, now's your time.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. Is anyone else here to speak public hearing? I declare the public hearing closed. I have a motion by Mr. Britt and second by Mr. Hester to approve. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
All right. Congratulations, guys.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
Appreciate it. Give Mr. Evers tomorrow. Okay.
All right, thank you. Individuals, delegates wish to address the board. Mr. Reed.
Mr. AJ Keating.
AJ.
Yes, so my name's AJ Keating. I came, I think it was December or November of last year to a meeting. We got 4 lots that have been approved by Mr. Elkins out on Spring Branch Road in Tar Heel. We have 2 houses that are currently being built. They are 30 days from closing as far as getting a certificate of occupancy. Lincoln County Water, that's what I'm here for. We talked about this at the last meeting. We were supposed to have our first showing of one of these houses last week. Homeowner called, wanted to know if we had county order, said no, never came. And what really bothers me about my situation is I'm 450 feet from the water tank. So at the last meeting, I made an offer to pay for water to come to my lot. Nobody called me, no. So now I've put 2 wells down. I've got about, $700,000 if the house is built. I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to sell it. So is there anything that we can do? Can you guys help me any kind of way? I mean, what do I need to do?
Mr. Kidman, when you come and do something, I don't know what happened, but, I will get back with you tomorrow. I'll get with Kip in the water and see what we can do or can't do. Find out why they didn't get back with you. That's the best I can do right now.
We've also got, and I'm sure this is gonna come up in a meeting, we've got 8 lots on the next road over that have got to be approved by zoning. So you will see that coming up too. So that's potential for some more business in the county. And I would just like to say from my point of view that, I'm hoping to be building in Bladen County. I'm a citizen of Bladen County. But things of this nature kind of deterred me from wanting to build anything in Bladen County. Now, I don't mean that in an ugly way, but business is business. I'm trying to, I want to make a living. So if you can, please help. Thank you.
That's a question on that. That space you got, that you building houses, I've been out there to look at that space. Is this 4 houses gonna go, and that's all that space will accommodate, 4 houses?
There's 4 on the road frontage. There's 2 more bigger lots in the back.
So 6 houses can go in there,
Yes, sir.
on that same tract of land there.
Jay, please make sure Miss Marie has your phone number and contact information. Anyone else, Ms. Marie?
I'd just say, if anybody hasn't seen what he's building, they're beautiful. And and I think most of us thought that somebody had followed up, so I apologize for not personally being more on top of it.
You're talking about be well adjacent from it.
Okay, so that's Spring Branch Road that we're on. Spring Branch tees into Purdy Hall. You take go north on Purdy Hall, approximately quarter of a mile on the right.
Right.
But it's the same parcel of land, it just has road frontage on 2 different highways.
Thank you, sir. I'll get back with you tomorrow. Anyone else? Matters of interest, commissioners? The first one is considering adopting a resolution in support of the focused broadband efforts to increase availability of high-speed internet in underserved portions of Bladen County. What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Cameron, second by Dr. Goins. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Item B is consider approving the scope of work with ACT Associates regarding medication-assisted treatment program. This is a treatment that will be take place in the jail. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Mr. Hester, second by Mr. Bullock. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Consider adopting resolution to direct the expenditures of opioid settlement funds.
I make motion to approve.
Second by Mr. Gillespie. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Consider adopting a Bladen County purchasing and contracting policy. Second by Mr. Gillespie. We'll call you about the third person. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Bladen County Schools, Dr. Jason Atkinson, please.
Thank you, Chairman Peterson, Vice Chairman Ellis, and honorable commissioners. We thank you for allowing us to be with you all tonight to discuss the budget needs for Bladen County Schools. And do you all happen to have a copy of these slides? We brought some extras if you all. Okay. All right. I want to make sure all we kind of follow along with that. We have with us tonight Ms. Ann Brown, our Deputy Superintendent, and Ms. Susan Harrison, our Executive Officer for Finance and Business Services. So, all right. Just some quick facts about our school system, things we're actually very excited about on our first slide here. is that we've had this last academic year, we had 10 out of 13 schools that met or exceeded growth. That's the first time it's happened in a very, very long time in Bladen County. So we're very excited about that. It means that we've got some great teaching and learning that's taking place in our buildings. And actually, 2 of the 3 schools that did not end up on that state list were separated by almost just a tenth of a point or less. So that's exciting to know that our kids are doing well. That means we have quality educators in our building and that we're helping to grow our youth in Bladen County. One of the facts we're proud of is that over 90% of our students who attend our school system actually live in Bladen County. So that the parents, grandparents, family, they're tax-paying citizens of our great county, and we're excited about that because they have faith and retain faith in our school system to educate their children. We are, just a recent report that came out in My Future NC, we are the 3rd largest employer in the county, Bladen County Schools is. We have Officer Smithfield Foods that's number 1. And then I think we have a textile company that's number 2, and Bladen County Schools is number 3. We have our students and even our staff. We have students being recognized not only at the local level, at the state level, and at the national level. We have many of our students that are going to be going to Savannah, Georgia here next month to represent our county in the National Bailey Convention. We're really excited about that. We are very proud of our partnership with Bladen Community College. That has worked out very well with Dr. Lee and her team. We've been able to expand programs in our high schools, taking that down to the middle school. One thing that's going to be new for us next year, we're starting that career awareness even earlier. So we'll be doing career explorations classes in the middle school. So we'll begin that trajectory early. So again, our ultimate goal is to educate our kids and then obviously work with our higher educational institution so that they will graduate and come back and work in our county. We want to be able to retain as many of those as we can. And we have the belief, and we know, and we believe this, that we are the best choice for educating children in Bladen County. And we don't take that mission very lightly. So what are the things we know about going into this new budget year? Obviously, we are in the second year of a biennium budget. I know that legislation is in now in a short session. Things that we know already that have already written in. We already know a minimum of 3% salary increase for all employees. For us, obviously, we have employees that are paid out of federal funds, state funds, and local funds. Can't pick and choose what employees get that raise, so we need to apply that to everyone. So we do have many employees that are paid from local funds. Also, we know that in hospitalization, I'm sure you all are feeling as well, is going to be increasing $538 per employee. Our ESSER funding, which we believe we've been good stewards of and has helped us do many things in our system that we would not be able to do otherwise. That funding is expiring in September, and I think it's pretty much all been allocated out at this point for what is going to be done. And after that, I am thankful that we had the wisdom and that we, when we did our work with employment, that we did not have folks tied up in temporary employment. Because a lot of school systems are facing how they're going to be able to retain people that they use extra money to pay them to be employed. So we don't have anyone in Bladen County Schools that's their salaries tied to ESSER money. So everyone is coming back to us employed. So we don't have to cross that bridge. So we're so thankful that we had the foresight to do that, so that we're not losing people because the funding source is no longer there. Obviously, y'all are also feeling this increased cost of fuel, utilities, legal services, workers' comp's going up, property insurance has gone up. Obviously, we're seeing that with a brand new school building as well. That those rates did go up. One thing that's actually hurt the school system, new piece of legislation, that if a child nutrition program does not have at least 3 months of operating costs, obviously they're supposed to be self-sufficient, then the school system cannot draw indirect costs from them. Ms. Harrison was at 2.3 months is what ours has, so we will not be able to draw indirect costs from child nutrition. Typically, that gives us about $200,000 to assist us at the end of the fiscal year. So we will not have that going into this year. And then, of course, there's an increased move across the state to privatize public education. And so we're obviously going against those barriers, not knowing about what may happen with voucher expansion, what the impact may be. Just last year alone, Bladen County Schools lost about $175,000 in low-wealth money that was taken from us to establish a grant program. That grant program is not just open to public schools. It's open to nonprofits, private institutions. So that's money that had been earmarked for K-12 students that was taken for another purpose. So we're still having those kind of things that are taking place. It's almost like when a new initiative comes, it's not new money or it's not new designated funds. It's taking away from a source that was already supporting the schools. Many targeted areas of need that we have on the next slide. Obviously, we're still working with recruitment and retention of staff. We're in a much better place than we had been. Obviously, we've had many quality educators in our school system. Some are sitting in this room now that have either worked here or been in the education system. And obviously, when their time comes, you know, the state does not have that opportunity we used to have years ago. We could bring back retirees that would really help us out without them having a 6-month waiting period. And they also have a cap. So we're going against those kind of barriers that we have. So there's not as many folks that are graduating from higher education institutions in the field of education. So obviously, we call this the Great Resignation period. And what has happened over the course of the last 3 to 5 years is more people are leaving than folks that are getting prepared to come out of college, step into classrooms. So obviously, we've tried to be as creative as we can. We have used ESSER dollars. We want to thank you publicly for the support you've given us the last 2 years to get our teaching supplement. We are now competitive with other counties. And that is a source of concern. I shared that even today with the staff advisory council support coming here. I said, you see your county commissioners, thank them for their support in that, because that is a recurring part. And now you all can say we're competitive. That has really been a thing, because one of the first questions we have, do you have a local supplement? If so, how much? Before, we were paying 4% to a certified person. They could go to Cumberland County, Sampson County, Whiteville City, and all get 10%. So, now those folks were using temporary money. They're going to have to scale back, whereas now you've all made it a part of our local budget. We sincerely appreciate that, and I know all of our staff does too. And for the very first time, we've been able to give non-certified staff a supplement. They had not had one in the past. And it's very hard when it comes to those times throughout the year, and I know that half the school is getting a supplement, and we're working hard too. We may not be in the classroom teaching, but we're working hard to make an impact. So now that also spoke volumes for your support in that too, so we really appreciate that. Continuing to work for assistant principals, I'm going to ask Ms. Harrison to share the formula that the state has. It says it will make you take a pause on what they fund us for as it relates to assistant principals. Can you share that formula with them?
We get like 0.5, can't remember off the top of my head already.
It's like, it ends up being.
We get 4 positions for a principal, the way that the state calculates the allotment for us to have assistant principals in the school system. It's a really long formula, but it ends up being right at 4 positions that they allocate us from the state. So the other positions we have to pay from other areas.
And that has also been, and we know how critical, especially now with discipline and all the issues that we have, the role that assistant principal coupled with, very thankful to the sheriff and to you all for support with our SROs. Definitely made a big impact for us, but school safety is always on the forefront. And we know that that's been a challenge for us as well. Going into this new year, how can we maintain just those 4 positions alone are taken up at the high schools? It takes 2 assistant principals at both high schools with all that's going on. And that's not even counting our K-8 schools. We have an elementary school now that's almost as large as East Bladen. And, you know, we've been fortunate because we've used ESSER to offset, and we had a retiree that came back to have like 1.5 assistant principals, but that funding is not going to be there moving forward. We have been pushing and advocating. There's been some work in our professional organization to try to advocate to the state that every single school number needs to have at least 1 assistant principal paid for out of state funds. That's a minimum. But again, that's, you know, we're not there, and there's no promise or guarantee that's even going to happen. But that's one of the areas. Facility needs, obviously, we have a couple of schools that are overcrowded. We have 2 relatively large elementary schools, and a lot of critical upgrades and repairs that need to be made in some of these facilities, especially when we take a look. There's some pictures we're going to show you in a little bit real quickly of some of our middle school outdoor facilities that used to be former high schools, and just it would just make you just sit back and say, how did these facilities get in such bad shape? So we know we have some things that are there. We know that now, of course, I cannot speak for previous administrations. I cannot speak for previous work, but we have a commitment that we've talked about. You've got to have preventive maintenance. You always got to be forward thinking. Can't do everything in 1 year, but you've got to be proactive and get a schedule, just like we went through and used ESSER dollars to kind of work through some areas that we had, as well as some capital outlay you all so graciously provided to us as well, to jumpstart some of these things like getting all of our classrooms painted. But several hadn't been painted. East and West Bladen hadn't been painted since the schools were open. And so, you know, the things like that should have never gotten this far. So you have our commitment that we want to take care of the facilities y'all help us fund and take care of. So that's definitely some work. I already mentioned our SROs. I'll skip that point accidentally there, but we appreciate your support in maintaining that and that commitment you all made there. And we appreciate the sheriff and his team for working with us so closely. Activity buses. We have not had a new activity bus since 2006. They have quite a bit of age on them. You're looking literally at, 18 years this year. So what we're asking, obviously, we can't replace the whole fleet at one time. We're asking if you could assist us potentially in doing 2 of those per year for the next 3 years to help that fleet. As you know, the athletic conferences have changed. Our students are having to travel much further than they were before. So we want to make sure that they're in buses. That one thing we've committed to with some safety dollars is that our yellow buses have had cameras on them. We're actually going to be adding cameras onto our activity buses as well. So, because with folks going out of county, those buses may be sitting somewhere, they'll be under a camera even, because people have done some crazy things, unfortunately, in the world we live in now. Things are vandalism and things that take place, and we just have to be more proactive. So that's something we're going to do. We've already got some funding earmarked from the state's safety dollars that's going to do that for us. But we do know that we do need those to try to look at that transportation. The state does not cover activity buses; they only cover the yellow buses that we receive. Obviously, we can all sit here and think back to our educational career about how much a quality teacher assistant meant to us. In fact, many of us can think back to kindergarten, first, second, and third grade. There was a teacher assistant in our classrooms. Right now, we get one for every kindergarten classroom and one to share across first grade. And again, that's another area of advocacy we've had. But we do know that those early years are important in the development of a child for reading and learning those critical skills that will be successful. And we know just what a quality teacher assistant would be, and we're wanting to try to expand that, start small, and try to be progressive, and hope that the state will help us pick up through that. When you saw the budget message and the summary chart, the total budget request there was $9,504,272.10. There is a net increase there of what we had previously. Obviously, we know we believe in that scripture, you have not because you ask not. But we want to also make sure that we believe that you all understand that we're wanting to be good stewards. And I hope that we've been able to show that we've tried to mend any kind of broken relationship that would have been between the Board of Education and Board of Commissioners in the past. That we're trying to be open and transparent about what our needs are, and we want to be receptive to you all anytime you have things that you always see. Because it takes all of us working together. It takes every person involved to benefit the education and growth of our children, not just academically, also socially, and also because the number one thing we want to try to do is to train them so that they come back to our great county to live and work here and be an active part of our society. The requested areas listed there for you. We're with ESSER going away. We obviously want to do some work with recruitment, and we're just asking there. One thing we were looking at, we have identified $30,000 in matching funds, asking maybe if you would consider matching us there. We have the assistant principal needs. Again, we would find the other two positions if we could do 6. Have you all help assist us with the others to make sure that we have those in those buildings. Our coaching supplements have not changed for many, many years. We have coaches that are making less than minimum wage when they're coaching sports. When you're looking at that is local money. The state does not provide any for that. We have folks that I think a lot of times they really do it out of the goodness of their heart because they're definitely not doing it for any of the money. We're not asking for an astronomical increase to them, but we need to start making a little bit of effort toward increasing that because we do appreciate because we have some kids that may struggle in the classroom, but they can perform on an athletic field, and they look up to those adults who are working with them and want to be able to also take care of them because if we lose them, there's a lot of folks knocking at the door wanting to jump in and take their place. So we definitely want to do that. Obviously, one thing that we think is important, obviously we already mentioned teacher assisted expansion, but I think it's important that we model, if we want folks to grow and learn with us, that we model that. So one thing we're looking at doing is a grow your own program. We'll identify 5 teacher assistants or 5 other non-certified staff that will be willing to go back to school to get their degree to teach. Our teacher assistants now are required to have either a 2-year degree or 48 hours toward a 2-year degree. So what this would do is we would support them. We would ask, we're looking just for $10,000 in that section. We've identified $10,000 in Title II funds, which is earmarked for that, where we could sponsor 5 of those folks. We've been working with one of our universities already. UNCP has a $500 tuition. This would pay for tuition, books, fees, and a travel stipend first semester. And then we would take 5 of our current employees that may be non-certified and make them classroom teachers. So again, their commitment would be they would have to work for the district. We're looking at maybe 3 years to kind of repay. It's like a loan program. But they would return. We would know we would have their commitment to work for us for the next 3 years. We have some quality non-certified staff that are out building. Sometimes whenever you've been out, maybe there is a teacher assistant at a particular grade level. Those kids don't even miss a beat because they're up. They know what's going on. They're making it happen. And I believe we've got some great people in our midst already that could really step into the classroom. And I think that shows a commitment on all of our behalves that we're making an investment in our folks. Obviously, we can't do anything about the mandated salary and benefit increases. They are what they are. I know y'all are facing it in county government as well. And that's just where we are. And same thing with operational increases. The power of inflation and what it has done costs are rising, and we're still finding that. That shows you the total. One thing that we were asked about this year, and I know you typically we have a number given us capital outlay, so some things were mentioned. What are the big capital outlay rocks that y'all have? So we wanted to at least get these on your radar as well. When we go back to our capital needs, there was 3 main projects that were originally listed. First was the Tar Heel School construction, and we'll be getting you an invitation that ribbon cutting official grand opening to be taking place the 3rd Friday in June. We'll get that to you all. The date, if they want to, by 21st, because thank you, Ms. Brown, June 21st, that'll be at 8:30 in the morning. And we definitely want you all to be part. We'll send a reminder to Ms. Marina. She'll make sure you all get that. The second part of that capital needs large-scale project was that we have 2 elementary schools that literally are busting at the seams. Also, one of the concerns is a space for them for multi-purpose use, so that if there's inclement weather outside, gymnasium or a building kind of like that, much similar maybe to what Dublin Primary has now, that's in place. Also, we need additional classroom space. Right now, some of our special services folks are meeting kids, I hate to say meeting in a closet, but they're finding whatever space they can to work with them one-on-one. So right now, Littletown Primary and Bladenboro Primary are in need of not only multi-purpose space, but they need at least a minimum 10 classrooms. So what we're looking at doing is that now our window is coming up in the fall where we can apply again to the needs-based capital fund. That would require a 5% match. Now, we do not have a price right now, but taking the most that we can apply for, which is $42 million, that would be a commitment from the county of $2.1 million toward that. And that our goal would be we want to write that grant to fund those 2 spaces. Now, to facilities. Now, one thing with Littletown Primary that they also need with theirs, Bladenboro says they do not, and we've met with them and went and surveyed that, is Littletown Primary also needs a cafeteria space. Right now, the current cafeteria does not serve the school well. They're having to start serving lunch at 10 o'clock. That is too early. They're eating lunch, they're eating breakfast as they're getting off the bus. We're having to start lunch at 10. So, obviously, Littletown Primary being the largest, we could look at remodeling the current cafeteria if we were able to do this into additional classroom spaces. Because that is our largest elementary school. Littletown Primary, when you include all the pre-K, is pushing about 550 students. So it's a good problem to have because obviously people have good faith in the school, and that's important too. So we've already mentioned the activity buses. We're going to show you some pictures in a little bit about some of this. Obviously, we can't do it all at one point, but some of the challenges that we're seeing, and I'm sure you all heard it from parents and community members when they go to an outdoor facility at one of our middle schools and they see that the pink bathrooms at the old Bladenboro High School that were pink 30 or 40 years ago are still there, or they go to Clarkton to use the restroom and they got a shower curtain covering the door and not an actual stall. That's just not good. And we have areas of places where there's challenges with the roof. Awnings may be coming down. There's just several things on those outdoor facilities, and those were once our old high school buildings that were well taken care of at that time. But I think once we made that switch to East and West Bladen, they kind of just took a back burner to a lot of things. Now, obviously, can't do it all at one point, but want to kind of show you in a few moments, and you've got copies of those pictures, and we can forego that out here because you've got copies to look at. In essence, the time we want to be respectful of your time. But just look at what some of the folks are seeing whenever they come. I know you've probably seen some of it too. We've got to start making an effort there too to make some improvements. One of the third item that was on the large scale capital needs request originally was field houses for East and West Bladen. Now we could all go back and forth on what happened in the construction. We all know bankruptcy when those schools were built on behalf of a contractor. We lost an auditorium that should have been at both of those high schools, and that would come off the band area. We don't have that space anymore. And at some point, field houses were a part of that, and they lost that. Right now, we have schools storing things under bleachers with tarps on. We've moved different kinds of things around just to get some storage for them. They've taken some shop areas, and rather than it being a CTE shop, they've got stuff crammed in there. And then, obviously we have one set of restrooms and concession stand to serve all those sports that will be outdoor. Even right now, was brought to our attention that even we had tennis and soccer, folks were having to go a long distance. Almost had a restroom burst, so they had to go all the way across the other side of campus. So, some things we might do temporary in that moment, but that's what that field house would do, locker room space. much like, the old East Bladen has a field house there. That served its purpose at that point. But we also know that that was something that was on that list, that was mentioned that we would try to revisit. Obviously, the city priority is the classroom space and also first space because that's our core business, but we also don't want to forget those programs as well. Our Board of Education has come up a couple of times about refurbishment of the tracks. We're not on a school system that has had issues with their tracks. If you go out to east and west now, you'll see there are definitely some concerns there. And it's kind of gone back and forth. It is a pricey endeavor to do one single track. You look in the last numbers we got, it's probably gone up since then, was around $1.7 million to refurbish one track. So one idea that was pitched potentially was to, if we couldn't do east and west like that, and there's also concerns about the football field and the turn that would be there, would that cause an impact and be even much more of a cost than we would have? Was actually the best laid out one probably is Elizabethtown Middle's track, because you have a lot of room to maneuver there. But obviously we know that it has probably much more repair than the two high schools because it is much older. Plus the space for field events would also be there. So one thing that the board had kind of discussed and maybe share with you all to kind of be thinking about and planning was obviously one option would be to look at east and west. You're looking at 1.7 times 2 minimum, or look at one county track. One thing that I noticed and I've shared, I've been over to Lumberton several times, even at night. You'll see Lumberton High School, they run their lights at night, so it's a community walking track as well. So at some point, there was some discussion, man, if we made that a community walking track and redone it for track and field, fix those facilities up, it would serve more than just the purpose of being a place for track meets. It would be a community place where even now we have some seniors that come out even during the school day to do some walking. But we could really fix it up nice and make it a good place that could be done there. And we'd be willing to work on the electrical costs for the lighting at night to make that happen. So we want to be partners in that with you all. If that's something we want to consider down the road, but that's definitely something we wanted to mention. Y'all sponsored some help with the school system a few years ago with electronic locks. As you know, technology has changed, and we've seen a whole lot of things that have changed with school safety. So part of our capital request is we need to do upgrades there as well as add additional doors. I don't know why some doors were skipped. We've got folks that are going out for a fire drill emergency and they're having to fumble through with 15,000 keys trying to find out which one fits that door, or they don't have a door. In the event of an emergency lockdown, the sheriff's department calls us and tells us there's an active shooter in the area. Well, if they're outside, I got to get those kids and staff in that building fast. If they're trying to fumble through keys, can't find someone to get there, those kids are standing all outside with nothing to do. So being able to upgrade that to where all those main entrances have where that teacher can, or any staff member can quickly tab, get them in the building, get them secure. That's something that we need to do. It also helps us, as you all know, when we don't have good security, people will try to do what they try to get by with and do. So we've already done some camera upgrades as well. They were able to take this some technology funding. That we believe this is definitely something important, and just as you all had to do here in this building. You've had to tighten up the security measures. We put some metal detectors in place. We're looking at some other efforts there. But we know this is critical because when we have those kind of things come up, folks have got to be able to get back into a building quickly and safely. And that will help us manage that because you all know that whenever you're dealing with employees, sometimes you may have an employee issue. You could quickly turn off that access versus someone. Our problem has been, and it still has been, because we had tried to get some locks changed. They got changed to residential locks. Not sure why residential locks got stuck on a school system door, or residential HVAC units got put in a school system. We haven't figured that out yet. But if you take a residential key down to Bladen Hardware or Big Blue, you can get all the copies you want. We still have been fighting 15,000 keys for everything being out. We've tried to get some keys changed. This would eliminate that problem because this will time and date stamp your picture whenever you come up. And if you're not supposed to be in that building, you won't not supposed to be there. Or if you use somebody else's card or someone's doing something they shouldn't be doing, there again, it's all captured. But we believe that's definitely important. As we continue to work through quickly on the other remaining items, just some general repairs and maintenance, we typically write that in each year. We've worked through some furniture. We've tried to repurpose all we can, and obviously a couple of vehicles that are needed for our maintenance department, as well as the van that we're using for deliveries to school. As on its last thing, we've been using the car, and we're having to make 2 and 3 times the amount of trips as they would for that. So that kind of outlines some of the capital needs that we have. You'll see, again, I'm not going to go through these slides. You've got copies of them. Just take a moment to breeze through some of these pictures. and you will see, some of the outdoor facilities that people coming to Bladen County are seeing whenever they visit our schools. And these are all from middle school outdoor facilities. This is not a total list of anything by any means, but, you know, we've got to start working on getting some of these things taken care of. And again, it's nobody's fault that's in this room, and I'm not passing blame on anyone, but we can't keep letting things just sit there and sit there and sit there. We've got to be proactive and start making a plan to knock that out. I will say on behalf of the Board of Education, my office, our staff, that we have appreciated all the support you've given us so far. We believe that we've had a good relationship, even with County Manager Martin and Ms. Coleman as we've worked through this. Since I've been superintendent and even in my previous positions in the county, we've had a good working relationship. We appreciate that and trying to work through and plan. We know y'all have a lot of decisions, a lot of folks y'all got to take care of, and we definitely understand that. And we'd be not thinking in the right mind if we didn't understand that. And we know we can't do everything at one time, but we felt like we need to give you a true picture of where we are and things we can start working toward, so that, you know, and we're happy to make any reports to you all. I promise you, whatever you allocate for us to use, we will use it for that sole purpose and only for that purpose. And you have my word on that. And some of you know me even personally. When I say something, I mean, and if something was to come up and we couldn't, we'd come back to you and say, look, we couldn't make this happen. This is that money. What would you like for us to do with that? So you have our word. We're trying to be good stewards with what you all bless us with, a little bit we get from the state, from the federal government. But I will say that you all have been supporters of our school system, and we really appreciate it. Thank you all so much.
So Dr. Axon, on behalf of the Board of Commissioners, thank you for your presentation. Yes, sir. And we will consider it, and we will get back with you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Have a good evening.
Yes, sir.
I have a question. That's just all.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Emergency Service, Mr. Joy Coleman. Consider approving a request in the amount of $16,000 to provide county match for the purchase of installation of automated dispatch D2 FSA system.
So, what this request basically entails, and we discussed this a little bit last week about the 911 funding source. This coming out of this year's general fund budget. We're attempting to implement an automated dispatch system. The cost to the county will be $16,186.61. The state match is $91,0610. Basically, what it would entail would be automating our dispatch center to where, when our telecommunicators are putting calls in, the system, the computerized system, will automatically dispatch calls once key demographics, key information is put in. Example would be telecommunicators taking a call, they're having to instruct somebody how to do CPR. If the other telecommunicator is tied up, they have to put the person on hold or tell them to hold on while they actually page the fire or rescue out to the scene. With this system, the system would automatically dispatch it out.
Motion by Mr. Bullock. Reed decided to second it. Any discussion? When it comes to the, I can't make it up.
Beat me to it, I'm pretty
That's all
sure.
I'm saying.
Mark Gillespie.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
Advisory board appointments is for, May 20th, the meeting, American 250 EC committee. That's for the potential $10,000, and we kind of picked that list. If there's anything you want to change between now and then, let me know. Kelly Water, Dyke and Drainage District 1, Global Transportation Advisory Committee 1. So we're now at the calendar update. So tomorrow night at 5 p.m. we have a special meeting regarding the budget. Friday the 10th. Lumber River United Way Day of Caring. The 11th is Kids Appreciation Day at Littlestown. And also the 11th is the Kevin Connor Memorial Foundation Gathering at the venue at White Lake. 13th is Health and Human Service Meeting. 14th is Bladen Soil and Water Conservation District Board of Supervisors Meeting at 8 a.m. 12 o'clock is the invitation that everybody has on the desk. Please let Maureen know before you leave if you want to attend that. And then the Substance Misuse Task Force has been, moved. That's not gonna happen the 14th. 16th, Division of Aging, Women's School Senior Prom. You wanna go to that, you need to reserve, by May the 7th. Peace Officer Memorial Service is at the jail, and that's at, 8 o'clock. It would be nice if as many commissioners as possible could attend that. And then the White Lake Water Festival starts the 17th, 18th, and 19th. And there's a blood drive at Clark Fire Department on the 18th, starting at 9 o'clock, 9 to 2. The 20th, the Board of Equalization meets at 5:30, and we meet at 6:30. Then the 27th, county offices are closed for Memorial Day. Then the 3rd is the 8 o'clock prayer service right here in the Commissioner Room. The board meetings at 6:30 that evening. The 10th, youth summer camp at Bladen Community College starts the 10th, 11th, 12th, the 13th. The Health and Human Service meets at 5 o'clock on the 10th. Substance Misuse Task will meet the 11th of June. And the 24th, the Bladen County Board of Commissioners meet. Any questions about the calendar? Individual delegation wish to address the commissioners? Does it matter? Commissioner, have anything?
I do. I apologize, I didn't get early. I know we voted about the, NC Connect, I guess, for broadband. Miss Overton Kelly, she said she sent an email. You got it? So I guess, she said they're on the NC, they're on the STAR, I guess, in Kelly. So I guess they still don't have,
Can respond to that.
thank you.
So I got the email and I forwarded it to Star.
Uh-huh.
And I sent a reminder this morning asking for an update. I still ain't got an update yet, but I got one coming, so they get it, I'll get my reading.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Anyone else?
Just got one add, could I add something to the calendar? This was for June the 19th. Yeah, I can do it next month, it'll be at 19th.
Okay. Entertain a motion to go in closed session in accordance with NCG 143-3, 6 personnel, by Mr. President, Mr. Cameron, any discussion? Let's take about 5 minutes, and then we'll.
This conference will now be recorded.